Hello. This is a video called one in the series called State of the School. I think it's the 12th. I think it's the 12th one. Uh, that's the school is Frank's School, and what I'm talking about is here at the Camp Ranch campus of Frank's School. And I'm on the subject of housing. This is the third video, I believe, strictly on the matter of housing. Uh, and the first the well, these are generic structures. The first one I introduced the idea of faux cut and described it a little bit. The second was I talked yesterday, or the last one, I talked about faux cabins, I call them. uh, and now I want to go on to bed sheds. uh, the third. But what I was going to say is that they're generic, and that they all look the same. They could be mass produced. Uh, it's not a specific carpentry solution to a specific carpentry problem or challenge. They're mass produced, and these bed sheds. Now, that's a kind of a funny word, bed shed. What I mean by them is it's strictly a bed with a shed roof over it. Nothing really more than a bed in a shed. A shed roof has only one slope. This would be a gambrel roof, and this would, well, I can't do it with my fingers. This would be a gambrel roof. This is a gable. I'm sorry, this is a gable roof, and a shed roof looks like that. Uh, so you've got a shed and you've got a bed in there. If you've got a single bed, it's a single bed shed. If you've got a double bed, it would be a double bed shed. If you've got a bunk bed, uh, single one, you've got single bunk bed shed. And if you've got double beds as a bunk bed, you've got a double bed bunk shed. I think I got all this stuff right. Kind of fun to play with the words. Anyway, they're the smallest yet. I mean, they're basically 8 foot by 4 foot, uh, basically. And it's really nothing but a bed. Uh, but if you put several together, then you've got something bigger. And what I plan up on top of the hill, I refer to it as a gur or a yurt. I prefer the word gur for some reason, because people have these ideas of yurts with walls that slope outward and held together by a steel ring, well, or strap. I think of it as a gur. Anyway, I'm going to go straight to double bunk bed sheds, and I intend to build 7 and put them in an octagon, as close as they can get, in a way. I say 7 in an octagon because I want to leave one out for the place to go in and go out. That's the door. And I'm going to have them all around a central open fire. No chimney, but rather a central open fire. And that fire, there I want to be able to burn things like scrap pallets, things as big as a pallet. I've got so much, and full of nails. Doesn't have to be sawed up. In the pit below it, I'll be able to gather up all those nails with a magnet. So I've got all kinds of wood to heat with it. So basically it'll be 7, each one with 4 people, 2 and then 2. So 28 people sharing a fire. And the center will be open, like a traditional gur or yurt was. But I've got to have it adjustable so I can close it some if I want to. There's where light will come in, and that's the heat. Now, if you, and to go on, I've said this before, around that gur, I want to put 8 faux cuts, ringed, so they will make what's called a tulou, a sort of a tulou, Tulou, a Chinese kind of circular multifamily house, an experiment with that. Now, I don't want to, if I connect them together, then I've gone over 100 square feet, and I have to have a permit. If I don't connect them together, I can build as many as I want to. I cleared that. I found that out. I can build as many as I want to, as long as they're not connected together. Well, I want to space them that way because right up on top of the hill, there will be no need of excavation to level it or anything, because it's right on the top of the hill. But the wind can be tremendous up there. And one bed shed by itself would probably just blow over. But if they're in a ring, they'll work together. And actually, I will fasten them where they would touch, but I'll do it through a spacer, probably about a 2-inch spacer and a bolt. So they will actually be touching. You know, when the inspector guy comes along or something like that, or a taxman, I'll just take the bolts out and take the spacers out and say, no, they're not touching. So these two more things to say, and I'll do the same with the folk huts. I'll have them so they can almost touch, but they're not quite touching. And I'll connect them when the need arises, if I hear a hurricane's coming or something. Two other things to say, or maybe I just forgot about one of them. If you want to know more about these things, if you go to my channel and search on my channel words like folk hut, pig fold, folk fold, folk cabin, about any of the things I talk about, and just search that word, you will get all kinds of videos on this, and you can see what this stuff looks like. I guess the other thing I was going to say is these bed sheds will be very easy and quick to build, and I have the material. It's just a matter of taking a few days to build, or a day probably, to build one and put it up there to see what it looks like. All right, bye for now.